Hey, what's up guys? In this tutorial, we will be building a to-do application using Laravel and Jetstream. As compared to the last to-do application we built, we used Inertia.js, but for this one, we are going to be using Livewire. So this is a demo of what we are going to be building. So we have list of items to be done, and you can add new item to it. So let's say sing song. So once the mark it as done, it will automatically jump down to the bottom of the list. So it's like we are trying to group the item that has been completed in a single space so that we can identify the ones we've not done. So you can also edit. Let's change it to compose a music. Okay, you can also delete. Nice. So you notice something. Once we are changing the state of the list of the items, we get notification. Like for example, now see the notification down there. So we are going to be talking about that too. And there's something you should notice too. For example, we are trying to validate the form. For example, this is empty, so we are going to get a feedback from it, same as the edit form too. So that's all we are going to be doing. So let's get started. So the first thing we are going to do now is create a fresh Laravel application by going to our terminal and running Laravel new, the name of the application. Then we are going to add a Jetstream. So while we are installing we are creating a new Laravel app, we are going to install Jetstream with it. Okay, so that means we are going to add the Jet flag. So it's going to present two options. Is either we want Livewire or Inertia. So we are going to be using Livewire. So we don't want theme, so no. Okay, so the installation is completed. The installation is completed. So let's close this one and see the browser. So this is the app URL. So let's just copy this. So this URL is created for us because we have I have Valet installed on my machine. So while you are setting up your Laravel environment, make sure to install Valet too. Okay, so now we can see the application. The site is complaining that is unable to connect with the database. So let's open the code in our text editor. So let's stop this first. Okay, so code, nope, that's not code. The name of the application, code. Nice. So first we have to configure the database, of course. So the name of the database, I've created the database here. So the name is Laravel Livewire to do app, same as the application name. Okay, so this is it. So the username is root and the password is root. So that will be able to establish the communication there. So it's going to complain about the table. There is no table in the database. So that means we have to do what? We have to run a migration. Okay, so before we run the migration, I would like to create the database, the to-dos table. All right, so how do we do that? So we are going to create a to-do model. While doing that, we are going to create the to-do migration. Okay, so PHP artisan, we are trying to create a model. That will be make model to do. Then we add the migration flag so that it should also generate a migration file for us. So we see model created successfully and the migration file too. So we can find the model here models, to do .php, and the migration can be found here. To do this, okay, so in our migration we're going to add two columns. All right, so that will be the title and the status. Okay, so that will be table string, type will be string, so title, we're going to need the title and the status. So for the status, let's just use integer, right? Integer status, but let's try to set the default value. So the default is what? 0. Okay, so now we can run the migration. So php artisan migrate. Okay, so our new table has been migrated to C, so we should be able to see it there. So we can see the table and we can see the to-dos table. Nice. So if you refresh this, you should be able to see our Laravel app. Now we don't have any account yet, since this is a fresh Laravel application, so we have to register an account. So adding Jetstream to our installation process, make sure that it includes the authentication boilerplate. So it automatically generates a login, registration, remember password features for us. So all we have to do is just start using the app. Okay, so now there is an issue. Remember in the beginning we stopped the process running, so we have to start the process. So while running Laravel, this Laravel project, you have to run npm run dev. Okay, so your node module has to be running. So let's open a new tab and npm run dev. So that's it. So refresh. Very nice. Okay, so let's create a new account. Jane.do jane.do@gmail.com. Password. Very nice. Nope. Okay, so now we are creating a to-do apps, right? So we need to create a new page for it. So we leave this dashboard page alone. We are going to create a separate page for it. So when creating a page, since we are using Livewire, all right, so Livewire will handle all that for us. All we need to do is create a route to connect with the Livewire component. So let's see how that works. So in your terminal, this one is running, so let's move to another terminal that is not running. So we are going to run, let me clear this, php artisan make Livewire. So we are trying to create a component, so that component is going to create a view for us. So once we do that, this command is going to create a component and a view. All right, so that view, that component will be attached to a route using our route file. Okay, so let's do that. To-dos dot list to-dos. Please pay attention to this. Make column Livewire to-do dot list to-dos. There's no space there. List to-dos. You have to join them together. Okay. No. Okay, so we should be able to see that. Yeah, so if you go to our views, resources, views, inside the Livewire folder, we can see list to-do dot Livewire slash to-dos. That's why we have to-dos first. I want us to group all those components into what they do. All right, since we are building a to-dos, so it should be inside a to-do file. Okay, to-do folder, I mean. So if you go to http here, we should be able to see our to-dos too. See the component, list to-dos component, right? And it's inside to-dos. If you have other features, it's better to group them into different folders. So how do we display these to-dos? How do we do that? So we have to use, we need a route, right? Okay, so let's go to our route, go to web route now. So don't let this confuse you. It's just a simple simple route. Okay, we are just going to create our own route. Since we have the dashboard route, see the dashboard, this is the dashboard route. So this route handles that, this is the code that handles that. So we are going to create our own. So what this code does from here to here is that we have middleware that protects the endpoint. That means every endpoint that's inside this group will be protected. You have to log in before you can access them. So that's what that means. So let's create our own. So inside that endpoint, inside that group, so route is a get endpoint, right? Get. So to do's. So we have to specify the component. It's quite different from using normal Laravel controller. Okay, this one will be component. So list to do class. Okay, we end that. Now we have to import that list to do from where. So use app /http Livewire /to-dos /list to-dos. You know what we are talking about there? We are talking about this file. You see, app http Livewire to-dos list to-dos. Okay, so that will link this. That will make that list to do component available in our route. So let's just specify the name. Name will be do's. Okay, so the reason why we have that, so that we can use the route function. Okay, so let's go to the navigation menu in the view. What I'm doing here is that I want to add that route here so that we can access it in our navigation bar. So go to the navigation menu. You should be able to see it, and here is it. Just duplicate it. Duplicate the code. So to do's. So also change the route to what? To do's. Make sure you change both to it. Nice, very nice. So let's go to our view. You see the view, the component, the list to do component is targeting the view. You see, so the first function that comes with it is what? Render. So that render just do what? It renders the view from where? Livewire to do's list to do. So let's go there. Results view Livewire to do's list to do's. So if you do what? If you change this to H1, you should be able to see it here. Okay, yeah, that's it. Okay, so the next thing we are going to do is have the navigation bar that we have in the dashboard here, like this one. So we need that. So how do we add that? So we are going to have the header. So it will be header element inside the header. So we have H2 to do's. So let's add some some styles to it. Class, just some basic tailwind style. It's like that default one that we have here. So that's exactly what we are doing now. Okay, so to have div. You know, this dashboard, if you see the dashboard code, we have this header and the main part. So that's this header and the main part. Okay, so where's the header file? So let's try to find the header layout. So that includes what? The header. So all we have to do is to what? Let's just copy this to save ourselves a lot of time. Okay, I will just replace the whole thing here with it. So our header will be what? H2 to this. Hope this is not confusing. So see, similar to what we are supposed to have here. So let's add some styles to it. So if you go to our the dashboard again, you see this is a dashboard. So it's like the header wraps the dashboard code, the head section there. So let's copy this to save time and replace it with this. Please don't get lost. Okay, so let's change this to to-dos. So change this to to-dos. Very nice. So to continue, let's just, since in our demo we have the title and the button to add new to-dos, so on the button will be on this side. So we're going to wrap it inside a div so that we can flex it and put the header on one side and the button on the other side. Okay, that's quite straightforward. So that would be what? Button new to do. So you should be able to see that now. So it's here. So we want it to be on the right side. So that will be class flex will jump to your side. Then we want it to be on the far end. So justify between. So jump here. Thank you. So let's add some styles to the button. It's quite long. Okay. So it's like the default one that we have there that comes with it. So button, and let's add some styles to it. So inline flex items center dx4 dy2 bg way 800 and border transparent rounded MD font semi-bold text is quite mouthful. Okay, just follow it. So text white upper case. You see the style is affecting it, so tracking widest, and wow, it's really long, over BG gray 700 BG gray. My shift button is misbehaving. 700 active BG gray 900. So focus outline none and focus border gray 900 focus ring plus ring gray 300 disabled opacity 25 and transition. Okay, so you are probably wondering why the code is this long. Okay, so it's part of the default code that came with the Jetstream, so I just copy it from there. Okay, so but it's fine. It's fine if you have time to type it. If you don't want to waste your time designing the button, you can just ignore that part. Okay, so let's move on to the next part. So we are almost done with the header, but we are going to leave it like that now. Okay, so let's go to the body. So this is the body. All right, so we are just going to copy this. Okay, save ourselves some time. Nice, but we don't need we don't want it to look like the dashboard view, so we're going to customize that. First, we don't need this. Okay, so now let's say hello, just to see maybe it's working. Okay, so we can see the hello. Now I want to list the to-dos so that we can see what we are doing. So since we don't have any to do yet, I think it's best to create some in our database ourselves. So read some books. So we are trying to manually add it to our database. Some books. The status is 0. Create current timestamp. Play a piano. Current timestamp and current timestamp. So we have 2 items. We've added 2 items to our database. So if you refresh, we are supposed to see the items here, but since this is a component displaying this page, right? So that means we have to pass the items, the to-dos, into this view. All right, how do you do that? You just have to connect with the to-do model and get the to-dos. So first, we are going to have a public variable to-dos. To-dos. Okay, so once you have that, you can make sure that it's available in the whole component. Okay, so this to-dos, we are talking about these to-dos, is equal to to-dos oldest. To-dos oldest status. Oh, my shift key. Okay, status and latest. You want the latest. Okay, so this one, what this one is going to do is that it's going to make sure the item that has been done will be at the bottom of the list. All right, and then you are going to arrange them based on the time that the time it was added. You're right, you understand? Okay, so now we don't need to pass it. It's already available in the component, so our to do is already available here. So it says class to-dos not found, so we have to import the to-dos model from where? From the models. Use app models to do. Nice. Nope. To-dos. Oh, sorry. Wait. Okay, sorry. To do. Let's see. Models to do, not to do's. To do. Nice. So our to do is available. That means these to do's, since we make it public, this variable will be available in our view. All we have to do is just what? Loop it. All right. So when we go here, we're going to do what? We're going to for each to do's to do. So each to do, we're going to make each to do available inside here. Okay, so to do I2. Nice. You can see read some pianos, read some books, play a piano. Okay, so yeah, let's try to adjust it to what we want. So the maximum width should be what, 2, and not auto px. Okay, that's okay. And in each to do, we're just going to add some styles to it, to add some design to it. Okay, margin button, then flex it, and px 5, py 4, items center, and so pointer, also pointer, justify 20. Okay, you can see, nice. And the shadow will be what? Where is it? The shadow should be small. Nice. Okay, so since we have that, we are going to need to split the code into different size. Okay, since it's a component, we can have a children component. So instead of having the whole code in a single file, we can share it into multiple files. So instead of having this here inside each, we can split it into different components and have it in a different files, okay, so that it can be arranged. So we are going to create a new component. All right, so using the command we used the other time, new Livewire component. So php artisan make Livewire. So what's the name of the component? So it will be inside to-dos folder dot, then each to-dos. See, it's inside the to-dos folder. So that's each to-dos, and our component 2 is what is also there. So let's try to include that to-dos, each to-dos. So that each to-dos will be inside this loop. So how do we include it? Using the Livewire directive. Livewire. So we mentioned the to-dos. Where is the to-dos? It's inside to-dos folder. So to-dos dot is even suggesting first for us. So each to-dos. So we have to pass a variable, pass a props. Okay, since it's a component. So we pass it to do. What are we passing? We are looping. So in each loop, if you've done loop before, you should have done loop before, right? So in each loop, to-dos will be available, a to-do will be available. So we are passing that to-do into the component. I hope you understand. So we have to add a key to it. Their documentation said we have to, the key is important in form of a best practice. Okay, so each to do, so it's better to prefix it with what the to do is, the to do does. Okay, so we're just going to append the to do key like that. To do. I really hope this is not confusing. Okay, so if you have any question here, you can just to do ID, you can just drop it in the comment section. Okay, so let's just remove this. We are removing this and pasting it inside the to-dos folder. I hope you understand. So it says undefined variable to-dos inside what? Inside our each to-dos. So let's make it available. So in our each to-dos, we have to create a public to-do variable. Yeah, like we did in the list to-do component. So public to do, the type will be what to do. So that will be model. It will be like a single entity. So we are talking about a single to do here. You understand? That's the concept of models, right? So that we can have objects. So we are going to import the to do model, of course. So the to do models. So we are talking about this to do. All right. So Nice. You see, it's all good. So let's just add the remaining codes to it like that. So inside each to dos, we have a checkbox. So let's add the checkbox and the other stuff. And so if so let's have input. The checkbox is in the form of input, right? Input is test, of course. And so let's add the class, and the type is what? Checkbox. So let's add the class to, you should be able to see it now. No, the type is checkbox, not text. Sorry. The type is checkbox. You see. So let's add some class to it. So margin like 4, have some margin there. Indigo 600, VG gray 100, rounded border gray 300, focus ring indigo 500, focus ring 2. Okay, so that kind of adds some styles to it, you see, makes it look incredibly nice. All right, so this one should be inside here, inside a div. So let's add div, be on a single line. Nice. So let us add some class to it, just a single class, so that you won't be able to select it like this. I can select now. If I see I don't want that, so I will add class to it. Select none, so I'm unable to select. So that's the only thing I need for now. And so let's add, it should be flex. We want it by the side, so flex, the tree item center, so that it can be on the same level, you see. Nice. So let's add the actions. So that will be in a different div. Of course, that will be flex too, but let's add, so but they have buttons. The first one is edit. We have the edit button and the delete button. Delete. So the only thing we need here is, you can see the edit, but the only thing we need here is try to make sure that the color of the text is red. So let's use text red 600, and class name should be class flex, should be flex, and space x between. So these are just basic Tailwind code. So if you need a tutorial about Tailwind, you can drop it in the comments below. So since we have everything, we've designed the user interface, we've designed the interface. So we want to make sure the actions are working. If you click this button, you should be able to see the action and do a different thing. So mostly they are modals. So we are going to work on modals. Okay. So the first one we are working on now is creating a to-do. All right. Creating a to-do. So once we click this, it should pop up a modal, and we can add the information to it. So this is how the modal is going to work. Now to do, we're going to have a variable in the what do you call it, the list to do modal. The list to do component, we are going to have a variable. So we are going to call it modal opened. So at default is going to be false. So this is going to check if the modal is open or the modal is false. Okay, so let's head back to our views, to the view, the list to do views. So we are going to have the modal there. So let's just have it down here. So we're going to use this as the Jetstream modals, the one that comes with Jetstream, so that it can speed up the because Tailwind modal is very long, the code is very long, so we don't have time for that. So X Jet. So we need a dialog, like typing dialog modal, XJet dialog modal. So we use the wire, that's from Livewire, wire model. It's like view model. Okay, so this will connect this modal open. This modal open will connect to the one we have here. Okay, so it will automatically, if it is true, so this will track the state of this model. All right, so that's exactly what it does. So X slot, we have a slot, new to do. So what is the name of this slot? Name is title, and we have another slot. The name will be the content, so that will be the content of the modal. This will be the title of the modal, this will be the content of the modal. So let's just say div a, let's just put a here so that we can see it. Okay, so now let's try to check our modal. I want to see the modal, I want to see what we are doing itself. So wire click, create, so that we target the create function. So we are calling, that means we are calling a create function from where? From the list to do component. Okay, so we have to create a function for it. From create. So it's not accepting any argument. They're accepting any argument there, and that should toggle the modal. That should open. That should do what? It should open the modal. It should call the open modal function. So we need to create a function for that to call it open modal. And what that does is just change the state, change the value of this variable. Okay, so how do we do that? So that will be this. I'm talking about this component, and modal opened will be what? True. So if we click on open modal, the modal open state should do what? It should change to true. And if you change it to what? If you click on close modal, it should change to what? False. Nice. So once you are creating, this should call what? Open modal. Should call the open modal function. Nice. Footer. Okay, so our modal requires the footer slot. So we create another slot, X slot. S slots. Call the name is what? Footer. So nice. You see our modal. Very nice. So let's add the remaining items there. Okay, so let's focus on the content first. So the content should be div, and then have some class, margin button for. Okay, so we have label. In case you have more items there. Okay, so let's just call it title. So let's add some styles to it. class should be block text GUI 700, text small, font bold, margin button 2. Nice. And you should have the input I mean. Okay, so input type test, and let's add some class. The class 2 is a little bit mouthful. Shadow, appearance, none, border, rounded, width, full, padding vertical should be 2, and padding horizontal should be 4, should be 3. Oh, 3. So best GUI should be 700, leading heights, focus, just focus, climb, none, and focus shadow outline. Nice. So the placeholder should be what? Okay, let's see what we are doing. Okay, we can see the input now. So the placeholder should be enter title. Add whatever you want there. Be able to see the placeholder. Now we need the model, just like Vue.js. If you've done Vue.js before, okay. So this is exactly what they are trying to do. So model will be title. So that model will be like just like this model open connect with the component in the back end. Okay, connect to this one. So the model to the input, the one for the input will do the same thing. So the model is what? Now the model is title. Okay, so we are going to create a variable in the list to do what? So let's just create the title. Okay, so I'm trying to put the variable in a single line. You can put your variables in a different line, depends on, but I just like it in a single line like that. There's no reason to do that. Okay, so our title is available. So if you change this, whatever you are typing in will automatically be assigned to this variable. I hope you understand. Real time. All right, so that is that. Okay, so let's move on. Now, like, we need the actions, we need the error message. I talked about the validation issue. So we are trying to validate the form. Maybe the form is empty or something, so we need the validation code. Okay, so jump down here, error, title, and it should display this title. So the title should be inside the span and just display the message, the error message, and let's add some styles to it. Class best red 500, and yeah, that's all for that. And let's work on the buttons, the submit buttons and cancel button. So that will be X jet secondary. Talk about the cancel button. That will be the cancel button. Okay, so wire click. Once the button is clicked, what should happen? You should toggle the status of what? The status of the modal open. I hope you understand. If it is true before, you should change the false. If it is false, you should change it true. But basically, if you can see this button, that means the state of the modal open is what? Is true. So you have to change it to false. But let's just use toggle here. Toggle and my shift button. toggle. So we are trying to toggle the state of modal opened. Modal opened and wire loading attribute disabled. Okay, so let's enter the contents of cancel. So click. You can easily use the button to close the modal. So that's what all that is all about. So let's talk about the submit button itself too. So xjet button. So that's like the primary button. Submit. So the class, these are the class to it. Margin length 2. Trying to put some space between the secondary and the primary button. So wire click. What happens once the button is clicked? So we are going to do what? We are going to call a function. Store. We are going to call the store function. Then wire loading. Wire loading. No. Wire loading attribute. So that will be disabled. So you should be able to see the button now. Although the store function doesn't exist. This is a component method. The store function doesn't exist yet. So we're going to add that. Now let's add the store function inside our list to do function. Inside our list to do components. So down here, since we have create there, I feel the store should be after it, so that be able to track it fast. So let's just have store here. It's not accepting any parameter argument. So we do the validation. We run the validation first. This we want to validate the input. Validate. So title. Since we are only accepting the title, so the title is required. That's very important. And the type should be string. The maximum length should be 500. And that's all. So the next one is we want to create the to-do. We want to submit the value of the title here and create a new to-do. Right? So since we import the to-do model here, we can easily use it here. So to-do create, and so we want to assign the title. This title, of course. I hope you understand. So we have this title. We are talking about this title. Since we've changed the value of the title in the front, and I told you that we use the model to connect the input with this variable. So since we've changed the value of the variable at the input, you should also automatically assign the value to this variable. So that means that value is available here. So we assign it to the title, and then we create the whole thing, we create the object. So we know in the table we are going to need the title and status, but we've said the default should be 0, so we don't need to assign anything to it. Then you can just leave it like that. But if you want default to be done, you just change it to what? 1. You can just assign 1 here. Then another thing you need to notice here is that if you want to use this method, this type, because there are different ways you can I actually know 2 ways to assign to it, to create a new to-do. But the second one, you don't have to do anything. But this one, if you are using this one, you have to specify the fillables, okay, in the model, the to-do model. Okay, so fillables is just an array of strings. So we need title. The title column should be fillable. It should be what? It should be fillable. So, but should be protected. Nice. And we need the status. Let's just add it now. We need the status too. So make sure you do that. If you don't do that, the column, that title column won't be filled. I hope you understand. Okay, so once you are done with that, the next thing is section. We need to return a response. Message to do created successfully. Okay, that's right. Now after you are done, you should do what? Close modal. How do you do that? You just have to call this function the close modal function. So that will be this close modal. Then we want to reset the value of this. So we want to reset it to be empty. Since we are done, it's successful, right? So we need to create a function and call it reset field. Reset input field. Set input field. It doesn't accept any parameter. Okay, so all we have to do is just empty the value of the title. Very simple. Nice. Okay, so we have to call that after we are done here. This reset input. In case that is not called the other time, we have to call it when we are creating to reset input. So once you open the modal, the value of the title should be empty. Okay, it doesn't matter what you are doing, it should be empty. Then you can type in a new item to it. Okay, so refresh. So once I submit, I want to get a feedback message. So it will be stored in a section, in our section, browser section. Okay, so list to be inside the list to do view. So let's just add it at the top here, at the top of the list. Okay, so at if, nope, not of what. So if the section has message, if there is any message in the section, you should be able to see this message. So that's what we are doing. So when can we have any message? When you create this one, like when you send a flash message like this. Once you do this, there will be a message inside the section. So that means you'll be able to see this side of the code. Okay, so let's just display the message. Section message. Okay, let's add some design to save our time. Okay, so bg indigo 100 border top for border indigo 500 rounded. What am I doing? Rounded bottom. Okay, so test go 900 px4 padding vertical is 3. Let's use 3. Okay, so shadow text small. So that will display at the top here to display the message at the top, but I want it to be at the bottom. Okay, so let's use fixed. It's like absolute, but this one is fixed. So you can put it anywhere you want. You can put it anywhere in the page. So that's the advantage of using that. So bottom, we want it at the bottom. 4 and right 4. So it will be somewhere around this side. So let's create a new to do. I want to buy a car. Buy a car. You can see the message to do created successfully, and our to do is added without even refreshing the page. So that means our to do, we are done with adding new to do. Okay, nice. So let's continue. The next one we are going to do is changing the status. We want to change the status. We have the status here. We want to change from 0 to 1, like toggling it 0 to 1, true or false, stuff like that. So once we do that, we know that this item has been done. So that also relates to model. Is input. Okay, so that relates to model, just like the title. Okay, but you notice something. This one won't be inside the list to do component. Where will it be, since it's each of the items? So that means it will be inside each to do component. I hope you understand. So we are talking about this specific to do's. All right, so it gives us the opportunity to do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want with the state in this component, just like those SPA front-end frameworks. You understand? So it makes it really cool to do whatever we want. So we can create our own specific variables there. So we are going to need the state, the status, since we have the to-do. Okay, the type for this is not. So let's just create a new variable there, public. So we can do whatever we want there. Okay, so since we have title there, so let's create the title, the model for the title. All right, so we don't need to assign anything. So let's work on this. Once you are toggling this, where is it, each to do's, once you are toggling this checkbox, what should happen? All right, so this is exactly what is going to happen. So this is quite easy. Okay, so all we have to do is what? Just use onChange, like normal input, normal vanilla JavaScript onChange. Input as that. Okay, so all we have to do is use the wire. So wire change. So we're going to call a function. Whenever the value of that input change, we're going to call a function called change status. All right, but this function requires a parameter. So it requires an argument. So we just supply the argument there. Supply the ID of that to do. So what it does is that once you supply the ID, the backend is going to do what? It's going to get the ID and find a to do that relates with that ID, then toggle the status. I hope you understand. You toggle it from 0 to 1, 1 to 0, just like that. Okay, so yeah, that's pretty much it. Although we are not done, but let's go there. So what we said there is that we need a function, change status, and then with one parameter. Okay, so create a function. What? Function. Okay, so that accepts what? It accepts parameter ID, like that. Okay, so all we have to do is, since we have a to do here, this to do is available, and that to do is also available in each to do component. You get? So it's already here. So all we have to do is change this one. Okay, so this to do status is equal to what? Not this to do status. You get? Not. That means the opposite. If it is 0, if it is false, it will change to true. If it is true, it will change to false. In our case, if it is 0, change it to 1. If it is 1, change it to, like that. Get the idea. And then we save it just to be sure. So that will make sure it is stayed. What we did here is just change the value in this component, but we want to save it in the database. Okay, so let's mark buy a car as done. Okay, so this has been marked as done, although it's not reflecting in the front end. If you refresh, it's gone, but it should have changed in the database. Look at that, it has changed in the database. So we want to see that the one that is done, we want to see them, and the one that has not been done, we want to see them too. Okay, so we go to head to the each to do and the input. We are going to add the check attribute to it. So how do you do that? Please pay attention to this. So at if the status is true, to do status, if the status is what? True, it should check it should mark it as checked. You understand? So if you know basic HTML, you should know exactly what I'm doing there. Okay, so you see it has been marked as done, and it automatically shift it to the end of the list. Nice. So we are done with the input, and also we can also do that. I want to make sure when I'm clicking the label there, we should be marking it as done. I'm clicking now, but it's not doing anything. So I will target that label. You see, but this one won't be on change, it will be on click. So once I click, you should just do the change status thing. Oh, wire click. Okay, so see, it's changing. So there's something you notice there, it's not adjusting on its own, so we want to make sure it's adjusting. So we have to call the parent component. That would be list to do, right? So this is the child, this is the parent. So inside the parent component, we are going to have a function, because if you send the flash message here from you send this flash message from the child component, it won't display. Okay, so we want to send it from here, so we have to target the parent component. So function, create a new function, call it notify. So anytime we make changes in the child component, it should notify the parent component, so that the parent component will update the DOM. I don't know if I'm making sense. So the notify will do what? We pass the accept message. We want a message for each notify. So that notify is going to create a new section. It's going to flash a message. So section flash, and the key will be what? Message, and the value will be what? Message. Just like that. So each to do. So in our change status, once we are done changing the status, you just have to call that function in the parent component. Easy peasy. So this emit up. If you call emit, it's going to call the function in the current component, function that is available in the current component. But if you do emit up, it's going to call the function that is available. It's going to be able to call the function that is the tricky part. It's going to be able to call the function in the parent component. So there is also something you need to know. So let me add it first. So it's going to call the notify function here, and it's going to pass a variable, an argument. So the argument will be what? To do status changed successfully. like that. So there's one thing you need to know. You need to be able. Add um you need to add that notify into the list of listeners. So I don't know if I'm communicating. You have to specify in the list of listeners. So how do we do that? To make sure that you are telling Livewire that this notify, make sure I can listen to it in my child component or anywhere outside this component. Protected listeners. Okay, so notify. You notice that it's not public, so it's only related to that component. Okay, so that means this listener is making sure that I can call this notify function from my child component. Nice. Okay, so let's test it. Buy a car. You see it's updating. Okay, jump down. So it's updating the DOM, which is really nice. So we are done with the changing of status, and we can see the feedback down there. And the next one now we have to do is we need to work on the edit. So that is also a modal. Since we've done the modal here, you don't have to type it all over again. Just copy the whole thing. And go to each to do. So just copy it and paste it. Maybe just paste it down here. So that would be what edit to do. So you remember something about this modal. We said it has modal open. It's connected to the state of the modal open. If it is true, the modal will display. If it is false, the modal will close. So you notice that we create a variable inside the list to do component. All we have to do now is create a similar variable inside the each to do component. You understand? The variables we create in each to do won't be available in list to do. The variables we create here won't be available in each to do, except if you import it. Okay, but we are not doing that, right? So in each to do, we just have what? An edit modal. So we create a new variable, we call it edit modal. So it's only applicable to the current to do. You understand? So that will be what? Edit modal. An edit modal variable. So default will be what? Default to be false. So at default, the edit modal won't be displaying. So that's exactly what that means. Okay, so since we have that, we have the title, we have the button to submit, and the toggle is what? We are toggling the value of edit modal, and the function of this update to update the value, and it's almost the same thing. So we are going to have the message, and we want to set the current value of the title. So that's the only thing we need to do now. We need to set the current value of the title. So once the component is mounted, we want to set the current value. Okay, so mounted. So that will mount. It will accept the to do. So this title should be what? The to do title. I hope you get the idea. The value of the title here should automatically assign to the title we have here. So if you open our modal, you should be able to see the value. So once we are clicking, it's not opening. So we need to add the event, the on click event there. So the edit, where's the edit? So the edit is going to do what? Just to wire So when you click it, what will happen? You just pop the modal by doing what? Changing the value of edit modal from false to what? To true. Very easy. So we do what? We use set edit modal to what? True. Just like that. Okay, so you see the value of the title is already there. It's automatically there. So you play a piano, buy a car, and so let's work on the update. So once I submit, I change the value. So if I change this to read some notes, it should be able to update. So let's do that. So we said once you click on submit, you should call the update function. So we need the update function. So fun update, not accepting any parameter. So that is also going to validate, just like we are creating the new one. So let's just copy all this. Let's copy this. Let's copy this. So just paste it there. So that's going to run the validation sequence, and we're going to update the to-do value. So to do update. So this is the sweetest part of this method. You can just you don't need to find with the ID or anything. Just update straight away like that. So title going to be this dot title, just like that, and we change the value of edit modal to false. So that means we are trying to close the modal. Edit modal is going to be false, and emit up, we call the notify function in our the parent component to do updated successfully. To do updated successfully, buy a book. You see, changes it updates the DOM, and we get a notification. So the last one we are going to need now is the delete function, which is quite easy too. So this will be wire click delete. You just have to call the delete function. Okay, so inside the each to do again, please pay attention to that. Delete, not accepting the parameter. Okay, so I'm going to call this to do again. To do delete, and notify the parent. So to do deleted successfully, but that's not what we're going to be using. But let's test that if it works. You see, boom, it's gone. But that's not what we want to do. We want to confirm. We want to make sure that we want to confirm if the user actually wants to delete delete the item. So we're going to need the modal thing again, the modal again. Okay, so that will be what? Delete modal. We're going to need the delete modal variable. Delete modal. So let's head back here and copy this. Let's copy this from the edit one, come down and paste it. So this will be what? Delete modal. Delete, and we have the title, we call it delete to do, and we have the content, we have the footer. But let's work on the content. So let's delete all these ones. We don't need this. So let's say are you sure you want to delete? So you want to delete what? So strong. So what's the name of what we are trying to delete? I just want to add some features to it. So to do, I want us to see exactly what we are trying to delete before we delete the wrong thing. So are you sure you want to delete the name of the thing? And you are going to confirm if yes or no. So we need the confirmation thing. So that will be delete modal. Cancel be targeting the delete modal. We'll be toggling the value of the delete modal. And this we call what? This we call delete. Once you submit. So this will be danger. This will be danger button. Danger button. Like that. Nice. So let's add new one to delete. Okay. Item to delete. So we've add this item, but we want to delete it. So delete. It's not working yet. So this delete we call the modal. So we have to do that too. So how do we do that? Exactly like this. So set the delete modal to true. So the delete modal, you just have to change it to what? To true. Like that. So let's add an item, delete an item. That's one of the tasks that we are doing. So delete the item. You see, are you sure you want to delete an item? You see, it's gone. Are you sure you want to delete play piano? Okay, so I think, yeah. So there's one thing I noticed. The notification is not going off. All right, so we have to make sure once you are done with the notification, maybe should hold for like 1 minute sometime, then it should be gone. Okay, so Livewire gives us this opportunity to do that, just like a timer or something. So we just have to add that here inside the wire hole. So I think that's like some kind of timer. Okay, so I believe it gives us like one seconds or so. So it should call a function. So clear message. It should call a clear message function. So that clear message function will be inside where? Inside inside to do, list to do. Okay, so list to do. Okay, yeah. So from list clear message, so it's not accepting any parameter. So we just want to forget the what, the message section, forget message. Nice. So let's add new to do then. Wash some clothes. Okay, you see the message. It should be gone now. See, boom. So that would be all for the tutorial. So if you have any question, please try to drop it in the comment section. Please remember to like and subscribe too. So see you next time. Bye.